And Alex, whenever you're ready, you can begin.
As of 2011, there were 103 out of 195 countries that had the death penalty in their law system. And of that 103, 36 of those countries have not executed anyone in the past 10 years. With this being the case, the death penalty had still left a mark on our world today. This mark has skyrocketed over the course of a few decades, leaving a trail of devastation amongst families of the both innocent and guilty, and it must be stopped. But first, how to get the death penalty. If you see on your handout, you'll see that as of 1972, there was a skyrocket of over 3,500 inmates on death row. This is just one of the many issues with our system. But to get the death penalty, it's all based on where you are at the time of the crime. In China, you can be put on the death penalty for murder, rape, and even participating in a prison riot. To compare China with America in terms of how many people are executed per year, David T. Johnson says in his journal, American Capital Punishment in Comparative Perspective, the total number of executions in America over the last 350 years is about the same as 1 year's total for China. In America, it's all based on the states in America. Missouri, you can be put to death for first-degree murder or the unlawful and the willing killing of someone else. But in New Hampshire, you can be put to death for rape, burglary, or even the death of an inmate that has served a life sentence. But while there are states with the death penalty, there are states without the death penalty, like New York and New Mexico. As of 2015, there are also 102 countries that have abolished the death penalty. Underneath the seemingly just cause, there are many issues with religion, politics, and the effects on inmates' families. As children of God, we are raised to believe, to hold everyone's lives as precious, just as God holds our lives precious. In the Bible, God declares certain acts punishable by death, such as murder, bestiality, and homosexuality. But while He declared these acts punishable by death, He also shows His mercy through His love to us. For example, David, son of Jesse, committed adultery and murder, and yet God did not command his life to be taken. And if you really think about it, God declares every sin punishable by death. Romans 6:23, for wages of sin is death, but gift of God is eternal life. And so if you really think about it, why shouldn't we be put to death? There is also a resounding issue with politics concerning the death penalty. While some countries use the death penalty to benefit their country, there are also some who use the death penalty to benefit themselves, such as politicians trying to get rid of their rivals. Carol S. Steiker says in her article, The Death Penalty and Mass Incarceration, Convergences and Divergences, the strong emotions of fear and anger that rising crime rates evoked from the public-led politicians to seek to capitalize on development crime-driven campaigns. This means that they basically wanted to benefit themselves by issuing the death penalty. In China and Sudan, there have been odds that have been stacked against the inmate, but there have also been confessions that have been taken from the inmate through torture to get rid of that inmate. But while there are those who benefit themselves, there are also those who benefit the country. With this being the case, people are still people. There are still people in our country who are still discriminated and are still put to death. And these countries also give the claim that this is for the deterrence of crime. But imprisonment and the death penalty both have not shown any statistics of deterring crime. And with the world being it today, human rights is a big issue amongst countries. But isn't the killing of someone considered against that human rights and taking it away? And finally, families of that inmate being executed never get enough attention. They have to go through the trauma of watching one of their family members get killed. They have to go through the guilt of wondering if they could have helped, and they are puzzled as to why this is happening. Susan F. Sharp says in her book, Hidden Victims, The Effects of Death Penalty on Families of Accused Family Members, Many family members were unable to return to a more normal life following the execution. Instead, they were plagued with the health issues, depression, and feeling of puzzlement. And there's also the issue that the inmates may be innocent. There's approximately 1% of inmates that have been exonerated due to their innocence being found. As of 1973, 150 inmates were exonerated today. With these problems, you would wonder why this is still in practice today, which is why we should fight it. We should contact our local congressman and act against and notify that there are many other solutions to fight the death penalty. We should establish prisons, special prisons, without normal comforts such as TV and outside time, such as normal prisons. And we should try to bring to their attention what they have done and know that they are horrible people for doing it. We should fund prisons to better handle such inmates so you don't have the overpressure of not being able to take care of them or be able to feed them. And we should appoint specialists to better learn about such inmates and learn why they are who they are. With these issues being the case, the death penalty has still left a mark on our world today. This mark has skyrocketed over the course of a few decades, and it must be stopped. With our help, we can stop the death penalty from overtaking. We should stop the death penalty from overtaking the system.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, Alex. Okay, and at this time, we're going to go ahead and open it up for questions. Students, if you have any questions for Alex.
Alex.
So you said that it's their right to have life, but what if they took the same right from one or more persons?
But does that give us the right to take their lives? I mean, even though they basically violated that right, that doesn't give us the right to do it, because, I mean, it wasn't us.
So what should be done instead? If
Keep them in confinement. Normal prisons give some of their inmates special needs, like a TV and outside time. But such prisoners as someone who deserves the death penalty shouldn't be given such.
Anyone else?
You said exonerated for inmates. What do you mean by that?
Exonerated is that their crimes have been lifted. People have found that they're innocent, and they find no evidence, and for spending so much time in the prison, they basically are taken out of prison and sent back into normal life because they weren't the ones who committed that crime.
So I think you listed this in your speech, but what kind of alternatives to the death penalty would you say would be good or proper for people that committed a crime of that seriousness?
Well, the main one that I said was making special prisons to help hold these inmates without any special rights, and basically keep them to help get them to figure out what they've done and know that they are wrong in the eyes of God and the eyes of the country.
Anyone else? Okay, then let's give him a round of applause. Thank you very much, Alex.